So welcome to Module 1. Now Module 1, you are here. And I always say to people when they have settled in and we are ready to start the course, it's never by chance that you're here. It's never by chance that we've met up in this time and this space where we are now going to remind each other of tapping in to that divine source energy. You see, we really need to sort of get a sense of orientation and a level of awareness of what happened before we got here. And why that is so important is because this is a really fascinating and a really incredible part where whatever's brought us up to this point is that we're ready now to tap into our higher self in a really new way and in a conscious way. So what's your journey? What has happened that has brought you right here to this point? Now this is in the in-person course where I would let you talk to me about that. So what I would really encourage and recommend after Module 1 is that you write that down. And the reason why this is so powerful is because it's about understanding what's brought us from there that has brought us to here. And by doing that, what you're going to find is that everything's going to be hanging. It's almost like everything's all just there. And you're now beginning to pick that piece of the jigsaw puzzle and then fit it into that piece. So that by the end of this course, you are going to see a newer perspective, a different picture. In fact, if anything, it's a bigger picture. It's from the soul, the higher self perspective. And the reason why this is so important, because our journeys are very, very different. Now, for me, I've been working with Reiki since 2010, and previously to that, I did therapy and massage work. So I've kind of worked for many years with people, and we all go through just various degrees of the path and the journey. Some of the paths are really difficult, and sometimes even what we want out of this next part is going to be different. Now, the reason why I say this, and I will share what happened with me. So it came at a time in 2010 where I had a treatment room and I loved working what I was doing. I was doing a combination of beauty therapy and also holistic work, which was working with the physical body, remedial massage and that kind of work related. Something happened where I began to feel exhausted. Now I was working back to back and I was loving what I did, but something happened and I didn't know. I couldn't actually put my finger on what it was that actually sort of got in the way. But this is one of the things that I'm able to sort of bring and highlight that to you, is the fact that I knew there was something had changed. I knew that I felt almost like open. I don't know if you've ever had that experience. I could feel, and I'd always had that, I could feel everything from the person in front of me. I couldn't articulate it then, but I could feel energy. And it wasn't until that disruption or that flow or whatever it was that was going on there was halted, that I began to realize that something isn't right. Now, during the course of a period of time, this got quite more difficult. I was finding that after clients, I'd feel quite emotional. If I'm honest, I felt like I was a sponge and I was heavy. I felt full and I couldn't even understand what that fullness was and why I was even feeling that way. And of course, you know, it's never by chance, but I had a business meeting, and I had a business meeting with this lady, and we were talking, and she just said Reiki. Now, up until that time, I've always shunned Reiki, pretty much a belief system of fear, that anything outside of my belief system at that time was that it was the occult and I should really not dabble into it. Something changed. The minute she used the term Reiki, I just got emotional. And given the fact that this was a business meeting, my eyes just started to leak. There was something about Reiki that moved me so much that I just said to her, I don't know what it is, but I know that I need to learn this. So for me, back in 2010, I had got to a point where I was overwhelmed. I could feel everything and I didn't even know what to do. Now, this is where energetic protection and putting boundaries in place is so important, because I am, since 2016, I've moved now into learning. I learned how to teach people, and so that 2017, my journey of being a Reiki teacher, and since then been working weekly with people, in as much as that this is really a big thing, sensitivity, feeling everything, being an empath. So much so that when you're on the other side of it, you actually don't even realize that it's a gift. So for me, this was the first piece of that jigsaw puzzle that I was able to recognize that I could feel things. So I felt wide open, and it was really important. And all I wanted to do at that time was to close myself, just put something in place. Protection, I called it. And I put that in place, and I have never looked back. I've never gotten into that place where I felt quite emotionally on the edge and quite overwhelmed with working with the general public and just being in the job and my industry that I am in. It is all to do with working with people, and I loved it. But just that one awareness of an energetic side that I hadn't really even put a label on, and I didn't even realize was so important. Now, I appreciate for you, and I have heard hundreds over the course of the years that I've been teaching in person, there are many different things that have brought you to this place and this space right now, and why we're discussing this. What is that for you? For some, it could be childhood. For some, it's something that's happened. I'm just going to briefly put these into categories so that you can sort of begin to get a sense of where you're at. It could be trauma. It could be you know that you are here to do something. You are here to do something on this planet. You don't know what, but you've just gone, I need to do Reiki. It might mean that you're just curious, that you just know that you don't know why you know, but you just know that this is going to do something to you. This is going to change something. It might mean that you have very clear ideas, and I've had many of them. I want to be a healer. And That's incredible, because into what capacity that is going to be between you and your higher self. And this is the beautiful thing when we tap into source energy, is that you will find your way back. It almost like puts us back onto a path that we didn't even realize that we said that we wanted to do. But we almost get a sense of either we're stuck at the path, or we don't know where to go in the path, or the path that was behind us has been so overwhelming that there's almost like this part of the path has to have clarity, and that we need to then move forward, not from the level of where we were before, but from a different perspective. And this is the beautiful thing about this pathway, I call it, that's been left behind. It helps us to begin to get a sense of that energetic self, that bit that's inside. You know, I call it many things, like the bigger me, the internal compass, the quiet voice. You know, it is that part of you that is navigating. It knows, it's intuitive. You know, some things we do not need to be told. We just know it, or we feel it, or in other ways, or we see it as many ways, that part of us, and that intuitively that sort of guides us through. And when we become aware of that part, this is where the magic happens. This is where the magic happens. Because we're living life from the inside out when that happens. We are looking at life from a different perspective. We've heard it said that raising vibration. This raises your vibration. You know, it's a beautiful thing, because we begin to work out and get intuitively so in tuned that we get to a point that we don't actually need to Google the answers, or to go and find up somebody, phone a friend, help, or what we do. You know, tell me what to do kind of thing. This is a different phase of the journey, a completely new way. And it's not so new that we don't recognize it. You will recognize it, because it comes from within you. So what has brought you here? And over the years, I've heard various levels. I really would encourage you, don't skip this bit. Write it down, because that is another way of getting very clear. It's clarity. Write it out, what's brought you. It's also very healing. Now, this part of the, you know, in-person course, this is where emotion hits. There's that level of, you know, genuine realness, that level of, this is me. It's a clarity, it's a consciousness and awareness that is very, very uniquely yours. So if I may encourage you just to pause the video now, write that down, write it all out. Or if you're not really into writing, I get that. It took me a while to start journaling, and sometimes I journal and I can't read my writing. But what was really important, got it out. And this is what I would encourage you to do now. Get it out. What's been your journey? Whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. It just needs to be consciously brought to the table so that you understand what that is. You might even find you knew all this as a child, but it got squashed. You might even find that this has been you right from there, but you got completely off course, and now all of a sudden it's gone. I want to come back. So whatever that is, get that out. Bring it to the table, write it down, you know, audio, speak it so you can listen back to it, whatever that feels right for you. Just do it. And then we're going to continue with the next part of what is really important on this level 1. So I'm glad that you've got that out and you've written that down and you've given awareness to what's brought you here. Because that's a really big piece of the jigsaw puzzle, so that you can get a perspective and an awareness now of why this is the right time, the divine time for you to remember who you are and tap back into source. So what we're going to do on this course is that you are going to be aware of your connection to source. Now this is really, really interesting because connection to source is not one way. And I found that out when I did my Reiki level 1. I don't know why, but I just thought I was going to see everything, that I was going to see this, see that. And I felt really quite sort of lost and confused, and I self-doubted myself. And, you know, we're going to talk about some of the things that can plague us when we sort of walk into our power, because sometimes, you know, we doubt ourselves. This is a process of just remembering who we are. And one of the biggest things of connection to source is that you are going to do it your way. And it wasn't until I found out, or I remembered, that I'm a feeler. I'm clairsentient. I am the sensitive one. I'm the empath. And you're probably right now saying, so am I. You know, I've seen so many over the years, different ones that feel. And I'm gonna say that we're wired differently, but essentially it's all the same. Now, some people see. That's so interesting, because seers see, and I know when someone can see. There's just something energetically that I'm aware of, and when I'm face to face with somebody and I know that they can see, and sometimes it's actually on the course, and incidentally this might happen. It might have been that you could see, or that you've been overwhelmed with feeling, or that you hear, or you're very cognizant and you know. And then what's going to happen is that this is going to turn up. It's going to tune in. Sometimes it's like a bumping in the ear. I've had that from some people. Sometimes their eyes have been like irritated, or they're randomly seeing. Sometimes you have an overwhelming, you can feel everything, and we don't know what to do with it. Cognizance, we know. No one's got to tell you, you know. This is a beautiful thing about your connection to source. We just need to know how we're wired, and the rest is that. So we're remembering how that is. And that's really important. I've had one or two over the years where I said, oh, I know how this works. I've read. And I always sort of think, oh, okay. Because this is what can happen sometimes. We tap in the way that we are told what we're going to think, or you do it what you should think you did, and I did that. I thought, oh, I'm going to be visually see this, and I don't know where that came from, but it was part of my journey. And you know, for some it's, oh, you're going to feel this, or I'm going to do this, and none of it is yours. Now, how you sense your connection is very personal to you, and I'm going to encourage you to own your experience. You know, I'm not going to tell you how you should feel. Yes, we've got the internet there, we've got Google, we can find all this out. But all that does is tell us, and I want you to be very aware of that, that's someone else's experience. Oh, they feel warm, they feel this, they feel that. And there are some key things of Reiki and source energy that you will, it's kind of universal, but the other stuff is yours. And that's where I really want you to embrace what is yours. So this is where I would get you just to stop and to have a little think about how are you wired? Do you see? Are you cognizant? Do you find that you just know? And this comes, by the way, it's a very intuitive thing. It's what I call in there. You just have that split, it's like that, probably even less than that. You just know. Or you hear. You might find that you hear the words in a song. No one else can hear it, but you can hear it. You might find that you can hear spirit. You might find that you can hear, you are able to tune in using the energetic hearing, clairaudience. You might find that you feel. You can be in front of somebody and they say one thing, you feel different. You just know. You know, energy doesn't lie. You just feel that. Now, it might mean that you're able to get a sense and feel. I spent many years working with the physical body in therapeutic massage. I could place my hand on somebody and I could just feel. It's just, these are gifts that sometimes when we are not aware of them, they can be quite perplexing, a bit puzzling. You know, we don't really understand how you can know that somebody's an overthinker. Many a time I would start an Ayurvedic massage, we work on a hand, and I just know this person is overthinking. The crown chakras stagnated, but I don't know how I knew it at that time. But these are things that we just progress and we begin to get a sense of why we're picking up things. Now, it might mean that you taste. You might taste things. You might be very in tune with the spirit realm. You might smell. That's happened a couple of times for me. I've smelt where it's been in either in a Reiki attunement for somebody, or it's been a Reiki session, and that person has lost somebody very dear to them, and that deceased spirit is there, and they've just come there because they know that they needed to be with that person. They just needed to be with them. And I've smelt that. And when it first started happening, I was a bit, ooh, what's this? But I've just learnt to trust. Okay, and that's absolutely fine. So sometimes, you know, when we embark on remembering who we are, this opens up. And we call them clairs, you know, claircognizance, clairvoyancy, clairaudience, clairsentience, these sort of basic senses, which we've got the physical ones, but we have that overlay of the spiritual one. And these wake up. They've never been not there. It's just that sometimes we push them down. You might find that you can go into a room and you feel the energy. You know the energy of something's off, or you know the energy of something's there. And that is what we're talking about. It's just that internal sense, that energetic reading, that sense and that feel, that when we start now tapping into source energy, is almost like we turn the key. So what's really important, and why we were discussing this, is that what is yours? Now I use the term, how are you wired? And what I mean by that is that over the years I've realized some people, they see, they know, they feel, or they feel and they know. or they know and they feel. It's almost like, I don't know, the mapping is different. They're all there and they'll come up, but you'll probably find that you have one, what I call a dominant one. I want you to just tune into that. And if you don't know that, you'll start getting a sense of what that is for you, because that's really important. Because why it's important? Because when you connect back to source, that's how you're going to feel and sense this energy. You're going to feel it, know it, see it, hear it. It's going to be your experience. It's going to be your way. It's who you already are as an energetic, spiritual soul that is encased in your physical body. This is not new, this is you. And this is at the part where we begin to sort of go, okay, yeah, when I was that age or at that part of my life, or when this happened, I knew that, or, you know, this is another piece of the jigsaw where we start placing that in so that we begin to see that picture. So this is really important, because this is how you will connect to source energy. You're going to do it your way. You're not going to do it how somebody else read to you. And yes, there are, as I said, universal things. It's just got a lovely energy. Source energy is beautiful. So we're going to look at, well, what is Reiki? You know, what would you say Reiki is? Now, I've heard people say it's a healing system. Yeah. It's a way that you can self-heal. Yeah. It's all of those things. It's essentially energy. And when we look at the Japanese word, because Reiki is a Japanese word, and when we look at that, it has a dual meaning, and that is power of God, or wisdom of God, and life force energy. It's energy. Now, it's really interesting, because this is where we go on and really talk about why this is not just a Japanese healing system. This is huge. This is big. This is divine source energy. It's vital force energy. It's chi. It's prana. For the Christians, and when I was in my days where I was pretty much aware of the Holy Spirit, I knew the Holy Spirit was beautiful. There was something about that spirit. So as you can see, Reiki is energy. It's the stuff of creation itself. And that divine life force energy is in you, and it's in me, and it's in everyone. It's in us. It's what's inside. And this is really when we begin to start understanding and beginning to become aware now that everything is energy. Everything is an energy exchange between you and your partner, between you and your children, between you and your pets, between your work colleagues. It's all energy. And this is why it's so empowering, and it changes us from the inside out. And it's then beginning to understand and get a sense of this energy exchange, because it's happening all the time. So this is a really incredible and beautiful part of our remembering who we are, that you're going to tap into that source your way, and you're going to feel it your way. The Reiki source energy, and I'm going to be calling it exactly what it is, divine source energy. And you're going to be able to tap into that and remember it and recognize it, so that you will tap into source energy, and especially during the attunement process, your way. So the attunement process. Now, when you look through your online course, you will notice that there are 4 attunements. Now, this is traditional in 2-day courses, or if you do a 1-day course, this will be around about 3 attunements. But for your online Reiki, there are 4 attunements. Now, these attunements are the spine of a Reiki course. Now, the reason why they are so important is because it is a way for you to tune in consciously to the divine source energy. Now, that's a beautiful time. Any person that's done Reiki will tell you that is where it's you and that divine source energy, that vital force, that chi, the prana, whatever you want to call it. It is that beautiful energy, that Reiki energy. And this is where each attunement will be very different. You know, every time you have an attunement, you are vibrationally at a different level and consciousness and awareness. And every time you play or you have the attunement for an online course, it's going to be a guided assisting you through that process. It is beautiful. And I really want you to enjoy that and prepare for it. So in terms of the preparation, we will run through that and that will be on a separate video where you will know exactly how to put that in place. And of course, this is what I do on the in-person. We actually talk about it and prepare before we go in. And you'll notice that in the order of sequence of before you go into, or you have an attunement or go in, if it's in person, is that you have a guided meditation for your first attunement. That is the introduction. That's going to be the introduction to what is called intention. Now, what do we mean by intention? All of this method and this pathway is a beautiful way where we set an intention before we do anything. And you'll notice that we will be talking about that. I will be encouraging you to tap in to source energy, to tap in to that. And we will talk about that a little bit more in depth. You will also notice that in module 1, we talk about 21 days of healing and what that means. So you will spend time after the course. That's essential. You can't do anything like this and then just shelf it. It doesn't work that way. This is very energetic. This is pretty internal, energetic stuff, and it reflects in our lives and how we feel. So there'll be a period of adjustment after this. And what that looks like, we're going to go into that and dive into that a little bit more later on. But it's important that we don't skip any of these steps. And I sort of encourage that so that once you do that, it opens up the next section so that you can do this in its entirety, so that you're able to really enjoy this Reiki level 1 and to do it in the level that I would do it rather as if you and I were personally together, because I work one-to-one each week with people tapping into that source energy. So the attunement process, the 21 days, which is after you've done your course, is essential. They really are important parts, and for very good reason. So with that being said, of course, we are at the end of this Reiki course. We will talk about the 21 days. But for now, I want you to prepare for your attunement. So preparation. Now this is quite an interesting one. Many people ask me, well, what can I do to prepare for my Reiki course, or prepare for an attunement? Well, what I normally encourage people is to prepare in a way that feels right for you. Now, to do a fast or to do vegan or to do anything like that is very personal. And that's not what I'm going to be encouraging people. It's a personal thing. For some, the fact that they've just come there and they've booked a course, they've done Reiki, adding something on to what they have to do before they do a course is just not going to be right for them. So I'm going to really sort of pass that back to you. I'm going to leave that for you in terms of how you prepare. But in terms of what I'm talking about in preparing for the attunement is just a sort of, it's really quite in a way that, you know, how are you going to do the attunement? Now, traditionally, it's sitting, and I would do that with somebody that is sat down, and I would be in front of them. Now, I was thinking about this in terms for the online Reiki, and I have met over the years that some people that are not able to sit comfortably, or you might prefer to be lying down. So if you can sit, then that's absolutely fine. And I'm going to allow you to get into a position that feels right for you. So one of the things that is traditional in the Reiki attunements is actually the gasso, which is a prayer position. And normally when we open the heart chakra, you would be in this position. And when you open the palm chakras, you would open your hands and they would be activated. And once that is done, you would place it back to the heart position. And then we would open your third eye. And for that, you would move to your third eye. And then once you have been in this position, you would move to your crown. And from there, you would either place your hands down, or you might like to place them down. And the reason why I say that is that a number of people cannot hold their hands for that level of time. They can't get to that. It might be injury for whatever reason, and that's absolutely fine. What's really important here is the intention. So what I'm saying to you for the attunement process, I kind of want you to get into a position that feels right for you. Now that might be that you are able to place your hands together, then that's great. Or it might mean that you lay and that you do that in your mind. Now, I start the attunement process by stating this is your personal attunement. Then after that, I guide you through. And this is where I'd like you to quietly and mentally, in your mind, once I've said to connect to source energy, I have left a gap for you to state to yourself, mentally in your mind, that you are connecting to source energy. So what does that look like? I am connecting to source energy. And in your mind, you will say, I am connecting to source energy. And this way, you are attuning yourself to that divine source energy. So it's a little different to the guided meditation because the intention is different. Now you'll find that the attunement process does not have a lot of guided talking. You know, the meditation, which is the light, connecting to the light meditation, is normal guided meditation, and that is a speaking one. The attunement process is deliberately not encouraging too much conversation, too much guiding, because the attunement process is between you and the divine source Reiki energy. So there is those moments where you will intentionally, quietly in your mind, connect to source, open your crown chakra, open palms, third eye, and then also your crown. But this is done in a very sort of slow way, because the whole process is very beautiful, very gentle, and for me is always, and for others, is a very precious moment. And the reason why it's precious, because it's a very conscious, deliberate and intentional connecting back. Now, with an in-person attunement, the process is exactly the same, but every time it will be a different experience. And the reason why that is because change vibration. This is all about awareness and consciousness. So just from your first attunement to your second attunement, it's going to be different. And how different that is, that's going to be for you. And that will be for you to just sort of be aware of how that is and how that plays out for you. So the Reiki attunement is designed to set an intention that through you, your free will and choice, and through your consciousness, that you attune to the divine source energy. And I have placed and embedded that intention into that attunement process. So that's the attunement, that's the preparation that I'm talking about, which is really our positioning and why there is not so much talking through it, because it is a different process. So what I would encourage, and what I do when I've got people that are with me on the one-day course, is to start this intentional process with a meditation. And that's what I'd like you to do now. So I'd like you to find a space, somewhere that, you know, the door's not going to knock, or you're not expecting somebody, or you're going to get interrupted. You know, you owe that to yourself, to just find that place, find that time, and then just follow and be aware of which is a guided meditation and how we start this process of intention. So I'm going to leave you to do that now, where you can go find that time, find that place, get into a comfortable position, however you want to do it, and then do the guided meditation. And once you've done the guided meditation, I would really encourage you to do your Reiki attunement. And after your Reiki attunement, when the music stops, I would just like you to be aware of what happened for you. Just take your time. Don't jump up and then start going around. Just enjoy that space. Just allow what happened to digest. And once you've done that, I look forward to seeing you in the next module.